Just go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us. I will do a special welcome to Kelly Beekman, our new secretary. I shared with you guys at our last meeting that Maggie had to step down, and Kelly has stepped up, and we are all very excited to have her. So
thank you. Hey everyone.
All right, jumping in. I did not see, is Sergeant Andorfer on here? I didn't see him get on here. I don't know if maybe he's one of the phones. All right, we will skip past him and jump right into our 4th District reports. So we'll start with those with Kristen Larson and then Jonathan Young. And then we've got, it looks like Mr. Taylor from the fire department is going to do a quick training and kind of just some good tips. There have been so many house fires lately, so we're excited to welcome him. Then we'll jump into some nearby news. We've got Sharita on from the Westover Community Center, and then Ryan Wren will be joining us around 6:30 to talk about Westover Park, so right next door, so that'll be good to do together. And then I'll share a bit about the upcoming yard sale, and we'll wrap up with our best over box and some shout outs. So, all right, Kristen, you want to get us started?
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, I just have some sort of like run-of-the-mill type updates and nothing super crazy for you guys. We've been getting a lot of questions about the Forest Hill Avenue improvement project, which we all know has been going on forever. We are closer to the end than we are to the beginning. It should wrap up at the end of this calendar year. We've also been getting emails like, have the contractors walked off the project? Did the city run out of money? No and no. We are waiting on Verizon for some utility work. I don't know the details, but that is the answer. And it should be complete by the end of this year. And it's going to look really cool once it's complete. There's going to be a median. There's going to be turn lanes, which, doesn't really apply to this neighborhood. But, if you guys have friends over there or whatever, it'll make it easier to get in and out of those neighborhoods. And the folks that are on the Granite side, making a left out of that neighborhood is almost impossible. So they're going to have a light up near the light at Hathaway and Forest Hill, which, is also super controversial. But the 2 lights are going to be synced. So if you guys go down Hathaway and let's say you're coming home and you're, making a left on Hathaway, then there will be a light right there at Melbourne, which is like right past the shopping center where Galley is, but they should be synced. So you shouldn't, make that left to come home and to get all, jammed up in that area. So fingers crossed. It's a super expensive project that was chosen because it's that corridor had a really high rate of traffic incidents. The Willow Oaks Country Club's right there, and it's really hard to get in and out of there. And there's going to be an area for like turn relief, and then the bike lanes and the sidewalks and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. And no, we did not run out of money for that project. Sharita might mention this too, but Parks and Rec is doing summer camps. Yay. Life is getting back to normal a little bit. And Westover is one of the spots where they're doing the summer camps. And I think Sharita can confirm this, but I think it's for ages like K through 6th grade. And my kids did it back in the...
Ages 8 to 12.
Okay, cool. My kids did some of the Parks and Rec summer camps, when they were little, and they're great. They're super affordable. They go on like a bazillion field trips. I don't know how that is in like COVID world, but hopefully post June 15th or whatever the governor said, you know, life will be a little more back in our groove. But lots of outdoor play and lots of, you know, the kind of snacks that kids love that I never do a good job of giving them the snacks that are as good as summer camp snacks. So, so anyway, if you have school age kids, consider that an option. And when registration opens, I think it sells out really fast. So May 18th, calendar reminder. Ashley, I don't know if you guys were going to talk about the street art project or not.
I was just thinking I would love an update. I know the survey closed and a bunch of folks participated, but if there's new news, I would love to know.
There's not new news, but sorry, that was really anticlimactic. But yes, I know Susan is like collecting the surveys. She wanted us to push it out, which we did. I think a couple weeks ago in our newsletter. I get a certain amount of district funds, I think you guys know, through city council, and we just allocated $2,500 towards that project. So we did the transfer and everything, which is great. We're gonna, you know, just add it to that little nest egg that's there, and we'll keep you posted as we hear stuff from Susan. But yeah, I think they're probably just collecting the info. I know she's really into it, so as we are too. And budget season's essentially over for council. We closed the budget like late last week. We voted on the school's budget last night. No changes to that. And then we will finish up the rest of the city budget officially in the next week or two, but you know, it's pretty much done. What else did I want to mention? So I think, you know what, we like triple booked ourselves last month. So I apologize for missing the Westover Hills meeting last month. But the meeting before that, we talked about the treehouse special use permit. Or maybe it was the meeting before that. I'm sorry, I just can't keep it all straight, but we definitely talked about it. So just to let folks know, that is in the pipeline. And if people want to comment on the special use permit, like send in a letter of support or a letter of opposition, you can do that. You can send it through my office and I can forward it along. And I believe it will come to a final vote in July sometime. That's kind of all I have, unless folks have questions for me.
Any questions for Kristen?
All right, great. I'll just hang here in case something else comes up.
Perfect. All right, Jonathan, you're up for some brief updates.
Thanks, Ashley, and I promise to be brief. I promise. And congratulations to Kelly on assuming the new role. I know everybody's excited. Welcome, everyone. Jonathan Young, just a few updates relevant to Richmond Public Schools. First, we're really excited about the summer. We adopted a really ambitious goal as it relates to enrollment. Specifically, we would love to have as many as 4,300 students participate in summer school this year. I don't know that we're going to get there, but I share that as a plea to anybody on the call. If either your little ones or if any of your neighbors' little ones are thinking about it, there's still time to register. Go online. It's super easy, and would love to have you consider participating in summer school. If indeed they are little ones, you would be participating in summer school at Fisher, so not terribly far from Westover Hills, and really grateful for everybody for spreading the word in that regard. You know by now that we're going to be celebrating our students, our high school graduates in person, and couldn't be more ecstatic about that. Specifically, we're partnering with the Squirrels, going to be at the Diamond, and And I really feel like this is going to be an opportunity for us to turn a page between between graduation and then in summer school, which will be in person. We were excited about the imminent school year to convene in September and what that'll mean. Our facilities team is working around the clock, literally, to accommodate installation of air filters, specifically HEPA filtration units or air scrubbers in all of our classrooms and common spaces, working around the clock to I do want to reference one of the other things that's going to be really important for us is we're spending a lot of time evaluating a lot of our infrastructure to include like Windows, for example. Now, I will tell you, if I had my way, won't, but if I had my way, we'd spend half of our time, if not more than that, outside. I'm a huge advocate of outdoor classrooms, and though that's not per se a direction that we're investing a lot of capital in right now, I do, in conversing with our team, including my colleagues, I do anticipate that that's something that we can do going forward. Want to share with you that the pandemic, obviously, we can't overstate how awful it's been for all kinds of reasons. I'm not going to tell you anything you already know, but I do want to recognize that even in really awful circumstances, some good can come out of the worst of predicaments, and some of that includes why we're so excited about going forward. Specifically, I will tell you for our high school students, our numbers, we typically graduate only about 75% of our students. For some of our demographic groups, the numbers are really, really, really bad, specifically about 4 and 10. But if the pandemic taught us anything we should have already known before going into COVID, is that we all have different needs and different expectations, and so there will be 5 days a week in person come next school year. We are going to provide virtual opportunities for students, and for some, not whole lot, but for some of our students, virtual just makes more sense. And so I do anticipate that we're going to be able to meet more of our students where they're at and prayerfully continue to increase our graduation rate. So Ashley, that's just a few updates in brief, but welcome any questions pertinent to those subjects or anything relevant to pre-K to 12.
Awesome. Any questions for Jonathan?
Oh, don't be shy. Somebody's got to have at least a couple questions out there.
All right, easy bunch tonight. I like it.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thanks,
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, I think I saw Delegate Carr arrive. Yeah. Awesome. You want to share just some brief updates?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being. Thank you for having me. For being with you. Appreciate you all always coming out. I can just piggyback on what Jonathan Young said about the schools and what we learned about COVID, what we learned from that. We did the same thing with the General Assembly. I think I mentioned that we had a very tight time, but our remote General Assembly actually was very productive. While we didn't get to visit with each other in the halls or see each other in offices, we had a lot of Zoom meetings. Our committee meetings were done remotely. And we actually really accomplished a whole lot during that last session. And I think we learned a lot. We learned that, somebody doesn't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning if they want to drive to participate and testify at a committee meeting at 7 o'clock at the General Assembly building. They could go on and do that, for the Zoom. So what this allowed was a lot more citizen participation, which is very important, and transparency. So while this has not been the best of times, there's some things that we can learn from it, our accommodations, and we plan on doing that. I do think we will probably be going back into session in late July, early August, and we will be looking at the distribution of the American Rescue Act. We will have a nice amount of money coming. As you know, there's some coming to Richmond and some coming to the state. So we will need to be meeting to see how to disperse that in an equitable and the best way for the state. I think that's all I have. Anybody have any questions about specific things that you've read in the paper about statewide issues or anything? Be glad. And again, I always want to be available. Yes, there's a sign there.
Hi, Delegate Carr. I'm Kelly Chopis. I'm wondering if citizens can get involved in talking about our experiences and where that money should go. So are you going to have any committee meetings or somewhere where we can give input onto that CARES Act money?
Yes.
American Rescue Act.
Well, I think we're going to have citizens meetings, but also if you have specific interest or suggestions, I would put that in an email, a letter to the head of the appropriations, Delegate Luke Torian. If you address him, if you address it to his email, I will also make sure and copy me. I'll make sure that he gets it, and that will go to the appropriation staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you. All right, I think I just saw Lieutenant Andorfer pop in, so we can do a quick update from our police department.
Sorry, apologize. I had another meeting I was attending. I apologize for my lateness. I'm pulling up the stats now, so just give me one moment.
Do you want me to loop back around to you? I'm happy to do.
That'd be great. Give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that is perfect timing to introduce our fire department guest tonight. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how to protect our homes and what we can be doing.
Well, greetings, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity. So where did this come from? Well, we've been having a whole slew of fires in the city of Richmond that have resulted, unfortunately, in the loss of life. So just wanted to kind of touch base on that, and I'm going to share my screen. This should take probably about 5 minutes. And just FYI, our public information officer is also online. Her name is Amy Vu, and she will snap a screenshot, because at the conclusion of this outreach effort to all of our community associations, we're going to put together a report and just kind of documenting the effort that was made after this. So with regard to that, I'll go ahead and share. Hopefully you can see that. So by way of example, are you able to see it?
Yep, we can see the presentation.
Okay, all right, great. So in the year 2019, we had 2 fire deaths. In the year 2022, and already through the first quarter of the year 2021, we've had 5, and we're greatly concerned about that. Now, in terms of where we're seeing those, we find that in 2019, we had on Irby Drive, 2027 Maple Avenue. I won't go and list all of them, but in this current year of 2021, Baronet Drive, 609 West 34th Street, Royal Avenue, 5th Avenue, and Delaware Avenue. So in response to this, we put together sort of a quick community outreach effort. Basically, it's entitled 5 to Stay Alive. And we're going to talk about 5 areas of of commonality that we've seen in these fires and what we can do to address it as a community, because it is in essence a community issue. The first one has to do with getting out and staying out. Getting out and staying out. Now, if any of you have children, or if you can remember back to when you were in school, we were all taught EDITH, E-D-I-T-H, exit drill in the home. Essentially, what that means is that each home would have a plan for escaping in case of fire. And that plan would have a rally point, which would be typically individuals might pick a landmark, maybe a tree in the front yard or the backyard, where every family member knows to go to. By way of illustration, one of the fire deaths that we had this year was a situation where the occupant successfully left the home, but then found out that someone was missing and went back inside. Now, in this particular case, they went back inside for a pet, but what we've seen over the years is that individuals go back inside for looking for another family member. Whereas if everyone knows where to meet at outside the home, you don't run the risk of someone going back inside. But it also emphasizes the theme, though, whether it's a family member, a guest, or a pet, when you exit the home, please stay out. When you get out, stay out. Next point I want to mention is we've had a couple of fires where a large amount of hoarding was taking place. Now, in prior years, the fire department scrupulously avoided using the term hoarding. We would come up with all kinds of ways to kind of skirt around the issue. This year, we're just kind of meeting it head on and calling it what it is. Hoarding creates several issues. One, it's an obstacle for individuals who live there. If there's a fire, it's an obstacle for them to get out. Number two, if there is a fire, it's an obstacle in terms of the fire department finding someone. And lastly, it does in fact increase the fire loading of the building. And so we're asking the community, please, if you know someone, perhaps a family member or a friend or a neighbor that might have this issue, if you can help them, that's fine. If you think that is a kind of situation that requires the intervention of a healthcare provider, please engage them. This is a serious concern. The third thing we want to point out is that in Richmond, we have a large stock of older homes. Some have been renovated and brought up to newer codes. Many have not. The concern is that as we see an increase in the number of electrical appliances being used in homes, creative methods are being used in order to accommodate for all of these. And that includes multi-prong adapters. In new codes, houses are required to have things like GFI circuitry. They're required to have an electrical outlet. I believe in the residential setting, every 6 feet. But in older homes, you might find only one electrical outlet on each wall. And so that certainly is something that people are trying to deal with. And as a result, they come up with creative solutions. So here's the concept. Just because they sell it in the store doesn't mean that it's safe to use. The third thing we want to point out is that smoke detectors save lives. What we're seeing is that even in homes where we have smoke detectors, over time, individuals either do not replace the battery or remove the battery and use the battery in something else, or the smoke detector is so old that it's no longer functioning. The smoke detector should be replaced at a 10-year interval at a minimum. Now, when you call the fire department, what we're doing now is installing free smoke detectors. And these smoke detectors come equipped with a 10-year battery. But if you're in doubt, please check your battery twice a year. And a good time to change your or check your battery are at the 2 periods of the year where we change our clocks. You know, spring forward, fall back. These are good opportunities to do that. The last thing that we've seen, though, is improper disposal of smoking materials. This has resulted in loss of life this year as well as last year. Now, it is usually best never to smoke inside the home. It is never good to smoke in the bed. If, though, an individual does choose to smoke, please dispose of your smoking materials properly. Make sure they're completely extinguished before moving on. So lastly, we're all concerned that we would like to have a safer Richmond. These two numbers, one to the Fire Prevention Office, as well as our smoke alarm request line, 646-1526. We thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to make a presentation. I'm here to answer any questions if there are some. If not, we'll just hang around for a bit, but I do have another presentation to make in a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Any updates? I know this has been such a sad thing to see in Richmond and in Chesterfield. There have been such sad things lately with fire, so appreciate you being here to help us. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, we'll pop back over to our police department.
Thank you for the delay for me. I appreciate it. And sorry again for my lateness. I apologize. But the neighborhood has been doing really well with crime since the beginning of March. Just looking back through some of the crime reports, the CVS has been hit twice for shopliftings. They've identified one of the suspects in one of those. The 48 Hours Market was hit for a commercial burglary about 2-3 o'clock in the morning one night. We believe it's connected to the Valero on Westover Hills that's been burglarized at least twice. But I do have some good news. It was burglarized again this week, and they were able to arrest a person who did it. We're not sure if they're linked to the original suspects, but it definitely gets one more offender off the streets for a while. So that's good news. The shooting we had on Westover Hills down by the Nickel Bridge, I think it was about a month or two ago. That investigation is ongoing. The toll plaza was not of very much help for furthering investigation, but we're still waiting on the shell casings that were recovered to come back from the lab to see if there's any associations regarding those. And Toyota Priuses, just to update you on that, the Toyota Priuses are still being targeted as far as their catalytic converters. It has slowed considerably, but the Toyota Prius still seems to be that hot ticket. And when they target a Toyota Prius, they're there for 2 minutes. So they will stop in the middle of the road. They'll pull a jack out. They'll lift the one side of the car up. Another guy will go underneath it, cut it off, and they're gone. 2 minutes. That we captured that on a video. So if you have a Toyota Prius, please park it in a well-lit area and close to a residence. Maybe a camera system as well would be helpful and beneficial, because it may lead the thieves to not want to take that chance when being caught on camera. So those are the updates I have. Are there any questions, concerns for me?
What's the part from the Priuses that people are stealing?
It's a catalytic converter. My sector is because we have a lot of industrial area. My sector was hit pretty hard as far as catalytic converters in general. But in the past couple of weeks, we've seen a dramatic increase, not just in Richmond, but in the Richmond metro area, where Toyota Priuses were targeted specifically. 2 years ago or a year ago, Honda Elements were another one that was targeted. Something to do with that particular model's makes keeps the precious metals that are found in the catalytic converters more valuable than a normal catalytic converter.
Crazy. All right, any other questions? Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, shifting gears a little bit to some nearby news. I'm happy to have Sharita on with us tonight to talk about our awesome gem over there, the Westover Community Center, and some things that are getting back up and going. So Sharita, take it away.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm just excited because Parks and Recreation we're on the comeback. We took some time to sort of see how could we do activities safely for children, and parents can feel safe, as well as having things for adults to do. And what we've come up with Westover is on May the 28th, we're going to have arts in the playground. We're going to have an art showcase. So far, we have over 15 local artists who's going to come out and display their artwork on our playground. And you'll be able to walk around, view the art. We're going to have music. We're going to have interactive art for kids, adults to enjoy themselves and create. It's going to be May 28th from 5 to 8 o'clock. If you know any local artists, we're looking for more. We have a big playground in front of us and we have a field in the back. So the young man who's organizing it was looking for at least 30. So if you know anybody, just contact us. Also, if you would like to put up an information table or have someone to just come out and sit and talk about the neighborhood, or if you have information to share, we can do that as well. We're also looking for volunteers to help us on that day. We want to run a small concession table so that we can have a little water out there, some snacks for the people coming through. We're also looking for help with parking. We're going to use our field in the back and would like to have some volunteers help us with the parking back there as well. And then just kind of help us keep the people flowing as well. We're also doing summer camp, like Christian said, which we're so excited about because last year broke our hearts when we could not offer summer camp for the kids. As of right now, we're only going to take 30 kids for safety purposes. It might change with the governor changing things. It's going to be $150 for residents, and it's for ages 6 to 12, and it's going to run from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we're serving the kids breakfast and lunch. And it's going to be mainly outside, but we have tons of activities. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do field trips, but we are looking into doing virtual field trips and having certain activities come to the children as well. So it's going to be fun, and we're excited because we have missed having our community around us and missed having the kids coming in the community center. And we're also doing after school right now as well. And we'll be resuming after school back in September as well. So if you have any questions.
Sharita, would you drop your email into the chat box in case
Sure.
Folks that can participate that day, and Kelly will make sure we include it in social media stuff that goes out. But
okay,
sounds like a great event. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited because we had an art event before COVID hit, and we had over 100 and some people come in, and it was a wonderful night. But we had it inside. But we said this time we're going to do it outside. So, yeah.
Any questions for Sharita? All right. Thank you so much. Well, just right adjacent to the community center is this new Westover Park. So appreciate Ryan Wren being here today from Parks and Rec to talk a little bit about that engagement process and any updates we have. Thanks, Ryan.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Can y'all hear me? Cool. So latest updates on Westover engagement. We are still waiting on our conceptual plan from Storefront to come back to us for review. Once we get that conceptual plan, we'll be re-engaging the community. So there are plenty of times, plenty of options to still have your voice heard about the future of what this park is as we wait to get it funded, all the different elements funded. So the next step will be an on-site meeting. That date is still TBD because we want to have the plan and get it out to all of you before we go out on site. We'll have an on-site kind of walk around so we can look around the site and see what things are there and what we might want to prioritize and improvement. And following that, there will be a survey that will be a prioritization survey that will allow residents the opportunity to come in and kind of rank the most important things for them. We'll make sure that we have that out in the community center and with the school as well. So there's still plenty of time to have feedback into this plan. And again, we're still at the conceptual phases. So that's where we are right now. And as soon as I get that plan and we have that here, I'll get it out to Ashley so that you all can start looking at it and start thinking about it and providing feedback on where we are so we can move from that conceptual into our urban design committee process to make it even more real than it's going to be. And that's all I've got. Any questions?
I had one quick one. I know on a couple of the different Facebook groups, there was some questions around how you guys were engaging with Westover Hills Elementary. And I have wanted to answer, but I didn't want to speak out of turn. Can you talk a little bit about that, Ryan?
Sure. I mean, once we have an actual plan, we're going to be meeting with staff at the school to talk about their needs, how we partner currently on playgrounds, what those things look like. Those are just meetings. We wanted to have an actual document in front of us to say, this is what's in the conceptual option. Does this make sense to you all? but we will be meeting with the school for sure, and having those plans once they're complete, available, and my camera keeps going out, I'm sorry, available and up for review at the school as well. So we plan to do that outreach as soon as we have documentation.
Could you also share, I've gotten a couple questions about where exactly the perimeter of that park is. Could you share that?
Sure. So it's a shared site with schools, and the perimeter of the park, we actually have no official parking spots for the park at current. So it goes from the alley behind the buildings on Westover Hills Boulevard, and the alley behind the buildings on Forest Hill. Where the fence line is the perimeter of the park. And so the parking lot adjacent to the school is the school parking lot on the Jenk Road side, and everything else around it is park space. We just don't have any official parking spots for the park.
Got it. All right. Any questions for Ryan or feedback? All right, well, look forward to getting that proposal, Ryan. I know a lot of people in the neighborhood are excited about it. So I think we'll want to make sure we get it to people with plenty of time to share feedback because they're excited.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. Okay, next up, we've got some neighborhood updates. I know we've got a couple committee chairs, it looks like, on the call. If any of them have anything they'd like to share, I will start really quickly and say, in the spirit of things getting back to normal, we will be hosting the Westover Hills yard sale this year. Yay! So that's going to be on June 26th at 8 o'clock. And it's a little later than we typically do, but we're trying to just give a little bit more opportunity to get a bit more even on the side of COVID stuff. So June 26th, mark your calendars. You'll see on Facebook, and we'll also include, in notes and messages that go out, that this year, rather than having folks need to call or email to say they want to be a part of it, we just have a really simple Google form. It's just like 3 questions. It's, your name and contact info if we need to get rid of you, and obviously your house number so we can include it on a map. And there's a question if you want to highlight any of the things that you're selling, if you, think it'll be really helpful to tell people you have, I don't know, antique furniture or something, you can do that. And I'm trying to put together a map that's going to not only space the things out, but kind of highlight what folks are selling as well. We also are still trying to work on, if you guys remember 2 years ago, we had Goodwill over at the school. And we had this great relationship where whatever you didn't sell, you could take over there, and we got to donate those items. And then they weighed the truck at the end of the day and then donated that money to the school. We have not, our folks that we worked with at Goodwill are no longer there, and I have not had much luck so far getting in touch with anybody about that. If anybody has a warm connection they want to help us out with, that would be great. The school is potentially interested in still running theirs, although a bit of that will depend on sort of where things are with COVID mandates, et cetera. There's a chance they might have something kind of not school, but at the school, something like that. I don't know, Sharita, if you've gotten looped into that at all, but we're hopeful that they, as well as Forest Hill, will want to do something that same day. So it kind of, we leverage that, energy and awareness. So that's the hope. Any questions about the yard sale? June 26th. Okay. I think Robert, did I see Robert on here? I don't know, Robert, if you wanted to speak to the beautification date. I'm happy to if you can't, but if you would like to, that'd be great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm always learning with Zoom. Old fellow. So we're going to try to do a beautification committee. I see John here. I've looked I guess John Koski's probably the only one who's ever been out on one of this group, because John and I have been around a while, and it's been a long time since we've really done a beautification project. We like to get out on the boulevard and clean up around the markers, and specifically do something there at the intersection of Forest Hill and the median strip there. It really is embarrassing. So if you're interested, just send me an email, robmkelly1@gmail.com. I'm in the RAG, and let me know you're coming. We're going to try to get together on Saturday, Memorial Day Saturday, 5/29, and our rain date would be June 5th, I believe, would be our rain date. So I'll be calling. I've got some people like John. I've always hound him. He's retired like me now, so maybe he's got some time. Maybe not. But also, we'd love to see some young faces out there. It's fun. We generally get together at 8, and we'll try to have some refreshments early, just in sort of water and things like that. And we'll knock off around 12 or 1. It's not a full day project. But if we get enough people out there, I think we can really, beautify, dress it up a little bit. It's in dire need. Any questions? Good.
Hey, Robert, what was the email and the date again? Let me write it down. In
The date would be, we're going to try to get together if the weather's good on May 29th, which is a Saturday morning from 8 to say 12. And then if we have a rain, if the weather's not good, then we'll have a rain date of June 5th, which would be the following Saturday.
And what is your email again?
Rob M. Kelly, that's M as in Mike, 1@gmail.com. I should be in the RAG there, Miles.
Great.
On the back. Beautification committee hasn't done much over the last couple of years, so that's been a fairly easy committee to be on.
All right. I just put it in the chat too, just so it's like there for posterity.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And thanks so much to Robert. He's not giving himself enough credit for all he does with beautification and yard of the month and the holiday lights and everything like that. So thank you. And I know he is welcoming other neighborhood friends to help with that. So
yeah, we'd love to have somebody on the yard of the month. Sherry and I went out 2 days ago and got signs out for May. I do have a helper, and she's going to do June. But it'd be great to get some new faces involved with that. And also the holiday decorations, it's obviously pretty far off, but it'd be nice to have some younger folks involved with that, just to get different views.
Do people get to choose the yard of the month?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you're on the committee, it's your baby. If you have June, Kelly, if you're involved with June, then it's your baby. What we try to do is avoid giving somebody the award year after year after year, because some people would say have a knack for this. What I look for are folks who've done something, who have transformed a house recently. Like two of our folks that we awarded the Yard of the Month to in May were fairly new to their homes, and they've just recently landscaped their yards. The young guy on the Boulevard and the Caledonia family. They've been working on their yard for about a year or two. And finally sort of realized, I think they've completed it. It really looks nice. It's 5200 block of Caledonia.
Yeah, they're my neighbors. It looks great.
Yeah, and they deserve it. They've been working hard. So that's what I look for. I look for folks who've come in and have really transformed their yard. I think they deserve a lot of credit for doing that.
Sure.
That's awesome. I'll tell a joke on my husband, Robert. I was telling him today that I signed us up to help with the beautification. And he said, when are we going to win backyard of the month? I'm competing against nobody for this award that doesn't exist, but I think I should win. All right.
Kelly, he knows people in high places. Maybe we'll have to look out for him one
month. There we go. We'll leave the gate open. You can walk by and see that. Any other of our committee chairs want to share anything going on?
Ashley, it's Melissa, and just from a finance perspective, things have been kind of slow. Membership really didn't take place last year. I don't know if we have plans for it this year, but it would help probably if we have some kind of kickoff or maybe something in the RAG that would emphasize membership, because we do have a few expenses, and the expenses that are coming up will be the yard sale. The liability insurance it's $1,000 now. I don't know what's happened on that, but it's increased quite substantially. We've got to renew the PO box at the post office. So we have those kind of, just ongoing kind of expenses. And we're standing at about, and this is just an average, about $20,000 in the checking account, but that's just an update from a financial perspective. I don't know if you've had any thoughts about budget, and maybe if you do want to consider something to put together for this year. So
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
though
I appreciate that comment on membership. I know Rich was kind of like paused a bit on asking folks, you know, for membership since we really couldn't hold events this past year. But I think now that we've got some stuff on the calendar, it's time to re-ask folks to officially be, you know, members again. So, yep. Thanks, Melissa, for keeping us straight. It's awesome.
Ashley,
Oh,
hey, I was looking at my hands, but I couldn't find the cartoon hand. But so, are you guys doing music in the park?
I was actually glad that you mentioned that. I don't have details yet. I've been talking with Whit over at Forest Hill. They are tentatively planning to do music in the park. The idea to maybe push it a little farther into fall rather than start as early. The other thing I did want to share that just got posted on Facebook yesterday or today. You guys probably remember last year the symphony coming and talking about the big tent event. And I know, John, you're nodding your head. You might have been on the committee. I know there were folks more involved than I was. So please correct me. But I think they have transitioned that event from being kind of one large event to being what they're calling Mile of Music. And it's June 12th. And I think the idea is to have some smaller acts around Forest Hill Park that folks can walk and see and spread out. Am I correct on that, John? Oh, you're muted, John. Oh, there we go.
Yes, you are. And in fact, I'll put something in the chat right now. I have not been on the committee this year, but I was looking it up. In fact, while we were talking, it occurred to me that I had received a notice about a meeting that I could not attend and was wondering what had become of that. And I learned the same thing that you just said, and I'll post something in the chat right now about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool event. So that is June, shoot, I wrote it down, June 12th. Mile of Music. So it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, Kristen, I'm hopeful. I've been kind of waiting to hear more details from Whit, but they were hoping to do it again this year. And we would again, you know, probably be a sponsor for that as we typically are. So
yeah, we'll make sure we set aside some money for that. And
awesome.
We're meeting with Forest Hill next week too.
Good. Okay. Yeah, if you hear differently, sometimes Whit forgets to update me. So if you hear more detailed info, make sure he calls me.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, I think that is the last thing. Our next meeting is June 8th at 6 o'clock. I think we are planning to do that one virtually, but hopefully that will be our last virtual meeting. We have a little break over summer in July and August. And our hope is that by the time we come back in September, we will be able to be in person. So cross your fingers. One more virtual meeting. I appreciate everybody that has made this a priority, even though I know it is not as fun as grabbing a beverage together in person.
Ashley, have we decided where we're going to have that meeting?
No, before at the beginning of COVID, I was talking to Tuffy about potentially, you know, doing it maybe in that upstairs area. I also would be interested to see if maybe the Vale would let us do something maybe upstairs. I know the church is always willing, though I think we all agree that's not quite as fun, you know, being able to have a beer and hang out. That's certainly our backup, I would say. Robert, if you or others have suggestions or want to work with me to talk to folks on that, I think it'd be great if it was at one of those new spots across the street. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. Any last questions or thoughts for the group?
Ashley, did you still want me to do best over box real quick?
Oh, yes, I almost forgot. Yeah, thanks. We had a couple of new shout outs this month, I think. And y'all remember to put those in for people. It's a really simple Google form. We share it here. And then at the end of kind of the quarter, we'll draw one of the names that's been nominated for a little local gift card.
Yeah. So for the past, I think this was all from April. We have one nomination for Rosie, And it says, why are they amazing? It says, she found my phone I dropped on my walk and was working to find me. Thank you, Rosie, for being an awesome neighbor. And that nominator was Ashley.
Was me. She found my phone out walking.
The next one is the nominated person is Whit Clemens. Whit is a really positive influence on our neighborhood. He isn't afraid to get involved and see how he can help. He passes along information and helps others understand the impacts, and he truly wants our neighborhood to be a safe and happy community. That nominator was Heather Barron. And finally, a shout out for Paige Hayes. Paige works hard to keep all the Westover Hills neighbors informed and connected. She does graphics and design work on signs, flags, and neighborhood website to keep the neighborhood social media accounts in top working order. She does it all. And the RAG wouldn't be the same without her creative talents. And to lift the spirits of neighbors during the pandemic, Paige created a beautiful message of hope for everyone to print, copy, and share by posting in their windows. Her design work can be found all over Westover Hills, and that's why she's deserving of this recognition. And that was by Will Chapman. So those are shout outs.
Awesome.
Going back, yeah.
Thank you, Miles. We have the best neighborhood. Well, I appreciate all you guys. I hope you have a lovely evening and look forward to seeing you at some events coming up soon. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye. Take care.